So this is the Go bus station in Sharm El Sheikh, and I'm in the process of arguing about price with taxi drivers. I'm kind of getting there, I'll tell you later. That was supposed to be most difficult part of the journey, but we're kind of getting somewhere. This is the beast which we will be taking. It is a very long drive to the hotel, and walking is out of the question. And there are no public transport as far as I know, so I had to take a taxi. And these taxi drivers, of course, were all asking me 8 or 10 times the normal price, so I made a big auction between them, and I was arguing and really taking time with them to get the real price. And one other farmer or somebody, he agreed with this funny, super funny car to take me there. So good. We are approaching our entrance already. Near that mosque is the reception. So friends, I finally arrived, and this is my home now for one night. I would say not bad at all for €8, sorry, it's almost the same. And this whole apartment is completely all to myself. And look at this, my friends. Is this cool or what? And this whole area is enclosed with security and all the other kinds of cool stuff. So, yeah, this is what happens when there is war at the neighboring country, and because of that, not enough tourists coming to Egypt because they're scared, even though here there is no war. And places are desperate to get at least somebody in, even if it's only $8 for all this goodness. So my friends, I'm thinking to go to get something to eat and get a few other things sorted, and I think I could even allow myself such a luxury to enjoy my last possibility before I go to cold Europe, to actually swim in the Red Sea. But we'll see, it's not so close, so I might go there, but I will see depending on the circumstances. But while I'm walking around this compound and showing you that, plus also while I'm showing you the Sharm El Sheikh itself, or part of it, small part of it I should say, I can also, I think, share with you how I got here. And what I mean is how I got from the bus to this hotel, which is 22 kilometers far. Sharm El Sheikh is quite long, and the bus station is in one end and this is on the other end of the city. So basically, I think that what I could share with you, which you might be finding useful, maybe some of you, how not to get scammed and how not to get ripped off by Egyptian taxi drivers. I don't pretend to be a superhero or having some super special knowledge, but I think that within 2 years which I have lived in Egypt, I have learned something which I could share with you, and maybe you find it useful and helpful. So basically what happened, first thing is I try to avoid taxi drivers as a species as far as I can. It's never something pleasant and good and useful. It's always a big hassle and extortion and all those kind of stuff, things, not something positive. But when I don't have any buses and the distance is so long that I cannot walk, like here 22 kilometers, then of course I have to, and there is no public transport, So I have to do something, either hitchhike or taxi. And in this time I was thinking to use the latter, and I was preparing myself. What I did was I found out exactly how far is the place from the bus station, and I found out it's 22 kilometers. So that's already useful to know it exactly. Then the next thing, I checked in Uber. Unfortunately, Uber is not yet in Sharm El Sheikh. If it would be, that would be like heaven compared to all this nonsense treatment and nuisance dealing with local typical taxi drivers. But unfortunately, Uber is not yet here. I know that it's in Cairo, in Hurghada, I think in Alexandria too, but not in Luxor and not in Sharm El Sheikh, at least at the time of recording this, which is March of 2024. So, but what I did, I found exactly the same distance, 22 kilometers in Hurghada, on the same type of roads as here, because Hurghada is kind of most similar place to this one, the same kind of not typical Egyptian, very touristy, that kind of place, and seaside resort. So I thought it must be something reasonably similar, and I found a place in Hurghada which is exactly the same distance, 22 kilometers, and I found out what Uber would cost me there. And depending on situations, depending on which time I was looking at, it was something from 71 to 90 pounds. One time it was 100, but most of the time not. This is, by the way, built according to the plans of Taj Mahal. At least the owners told me that. Can we believe him? What do you think, friends? Let me know. Kinda. So, and this is all this compound, the hotel where I'm staying. Isn't that crazy? So, this is open even. I thought it's still in the building process. Let's go in maybe. So, I found the price in Hurghada, so it means if in Hurghada it's, let's say, average 85 pounds, Egyptian pounds I mean, yeah, then I have a rough starting point what to start here. In Hurghada, taxi drivers usually ask something like 500 pounds when you ask them, and when they see that you're a foreigner. They ask you 500 for the trip, which is worth 80 pounds. That's their typical how they do it. Let's see. Mosque of Taj Mahal. Cute. Yeah, so I expected something similar, and guess what I got? When I was asking the owners of this hotel, because they also provide pickup in an airport or bus station, so you can easily arrange that. And they told me they would charge me 300, but if I would ask taxi drivers, they would ask me 400 or 500. So that 4 or 5 sounded believable, but that 300 still didn't impress me. I was doing some back and forth with him about about these things, but he was not bending. He didn't allow me to have my way, so I let it be, and I said I will look for someone else. And if I don't find anything better, then I will call him for these £300, which is something like €6 or something at the moment. It will change. Egyptians are devaluing their currency like crazy, so it will change very soon. During my 2 years in Egypt, the currency has been downgraded something like four times. So that already tells you something about the central bank here. Not that other central banks would be much better, but they are not that bad, most of them at least. So then I was asking if there's any other way, what I can use. Of course, there is no other way, as everybody says. There is no other way, only them, and only for the big price. Then I already armored myself with patience, and when I stepped out of the bus, I was, of course, as always, immediately ambushed by many taxi drivers, and they were offering 300, so that was already first thing which wasn't true. They didn't ask me even 4 or 500. They immediately asked 300, so that was already better starting point. And then I was laughing about these 300 because I knew already that I will be able to get lower. And then I said 100 because and I immediately, since before I even told which place I need to go, I started with the distance so that they know that I know the situation. I said I need to go 22 kilometers, and only after that later I said what is the name of that place. I need to go 22 kilometers and I want to pay £100. Anybody willing? And then out of all of them, 3 of them started to fight between themselves who will take me for 200. So that's already better. Not 3 but 200. And then I was pushing that 100 thing, and then only one was left. Yeah, and also there were all kinds of usual lies that they were telling me that it's 35 kilometers, it's very far. Of course it's not 35, it's 22. And I told them that, and I kept pushing for my 100, and only one of them was left. He said 170, then he said 150, and at the end we agreed on 130, which is still more than what Uber would have charged me if there would be Uber here. Uber would ask me probably 80 or something, so I got 130, but which was much better than that 300, which I was made to believe that it's a very good price. And by the way, when Egyptians tell you that they will give you a very good price, believe them. Just know that they don't say the full sentence. It's good price for them, not for you. It's expensive price. It's 5 times, 8 times, that kind of price. So if somebody asks you something, so you can quite safely divide it by 5 or 8, and then about there should be the real price. And it's annoying. I have never liked bargaining. I had never liked these games which people have to play sometimes to get the price. I have never enjoyed that. But in Egypt you just have to. Otherwise, where can you get? You end up paying 8 times for everything. And then what's worst is if they see that you are such an easy target, that you agree to that 8 times price, that doesn't end there. They continue all kinds of other things. They will put your bag in some friend's car, and then that friend will ask some money. They will at the end say, when you agreed for 300, they will ask you 400 at the end, or 5. Then they will invent some other things to go through, some tolls which you have to pay. even though there was no need to go there even. Or all kinds of other things. They will keep pressurizing you and keep milking you as a cow as long as you will have nothing in your wallet. So you have to draw the line somewhere anyway, so why not draw it somewhere where it's reasonably fair? And yeah, out of all this thing, I can also tell you, if you are in a city where there is Uber, I don't want to advertise for them now, but honestly, it is worth it. It is so worth it. In Egypt, I'm talking, yeah. You have literally no hassle. You push a button, and you see where the car is. That driver is not telling you that, yes, I'm coming, 5 minutes I'll be there, but he is still sleeping in his bed and he's not even waking up. And yes, I'm coming, I'm on my way, I will be in 2 minutes. All these lies. Typical, usual Egyptian lies. And you don't have them. You see where the car is. It's easy to find. You see everything on the map. Everything is clear. Nothing is like the biggest thing how Egyptians milk money out of you is by uncertainty, by unclarity. When nothing is clear, when nobody knows what is happening, where are we going, who is paying for what, and then at the end you end up holding the bag with all the debt which suddenly occurred. So Uber gives perfect clarity, and there is no hassle, there is no bargaining, there is no issues. Everything is so simple and easy, like it should be, like it is in many other places, but not in Egypt, unfortunately. So by all means, use it when you have a possibility. I have done it myself, and it really felt like heaven if compared to dealing with the typical usual taxi drivers, which are really, really tough species. Similarly, like all the other people who live from extorting money from tourists. And there are a whole cast of such people in Egypt, in tourist areas. That's why I like to be not in tourist areas, because then I get to see nice Egyptians, which are majority. They still lie, and they still don't keep promises, and they still don't understand what does it mean tomorrow, that tomorrow never comes, and so on. But they are nice, at least. They are not trying to squeeze something out of you all the time. But these guys who work with tourists, they are difficult species. They are really not enjoyable at all. And also, yeah, one other thing for us Europeans, we sometimes think that we know that people can lie, but we understand the scale of that. When you are in Egypt, keep in mind that you cannot even imagine the scale of lies. Like, they can tell such things. I have heard so many, like they will lie all the time. Like in general, those kinds of people, they see the things in that way. Why should I tell the truth if there is an option to tell lies? Even there is no need for lying. But it's still way of life, just to lie. And they will promise and swear that this ferry terminal was cancelled last week by government. You see, this is where it was. And wallahi, in the God's name, by God, I promise you, I swear by God, I'm good Muslim, I swear by Quran, I will never lie to such a thing. I swear to my mother's grave and whatnot. And of course, the next day I find out that the ferry is still going where it is. He just wanted to sell me something else. They literally tell everything to everyone. And no lie is too heavy. Like, they lie as there is no tomorrow. The same way as former Soviet Union countries steal as if there is no tomorrow. Egyptians lie as if there is no tomorrow. Just keep that in mind. It's a completely different way of thinking and culture in that sense. But even when I sound so negative, don't get me wrong. For the most part, majority of Egyptians are amazing, nice, welcoming, heartfelt, hospitable, nice, friendly people. They're nice. Just be careful about these things. And then you can keep these nice relationships instead of having disappointments. Okay, I was showing you the compound and at the same time telling you something which maybe some of you might find useful. So that's the place from the outside. That's the security guarded entrance. And there is some undeveloped fields, and behind them I see already, I'm not sure if you see, is the Red Sea. Let's see, my friend, how close we can get there. I'm not sure if we will get through here, but it's a good time to check it out. What do you think, friends? What do you think? Will there be some fence or something and I will have to go back? Or will we get through? And by the way, for the sake of fun, I forgot to tell you that this owner of the hotel, he was sure that I will not get anything cheaper than the 300, and he was very confident that I will come back to him because there is no other way. And then I told him, please send me the exact location, so that, because with very few exceptions, like 1 out of 100 maybe, 2 out of 100 maybe, all the map locations are wrong in Egypt. People just don't use maps. Like, many people don't even read, let alone using maps. They just don't understand where they put these locations in maps. On Booking.com and these things. Don't believe those things. If you can get them to send you a link from their phone when the GPS is working, then even when they don't understand what it is, at least it will be accurate. So I was asking that thing because I said I'm coming on my own, and I said I got it for 130. He said, yeah, probably you're coming from Arabtel. No, what was the other stop, which was very close, but where the buses are not coming, the big ones. And you are paying too much. It should be 70 from there. It's very close. I'm saying, no, I'm coming from the big bus station, and it's 130. Then he thought that I'm just pulling his leg and trying to beat down the price. And he said, no one will ever on this earth agree to get you all this distance for that money. And then I said, I'm driving already. Then he didn't say anything, and when he saw me, he just made remarks about how old and ugly my pickup truck was, that it wasn't even a normal car. Who cares? I got here. That's what I wanted. I was laughing together with him and I was very happy. And tomorrow I also started negotiations with the same driver which I came here to get to the airport, which is half the way. It's closer. It's 10 kilometers approximately. He gave me price of 100, which is still it's kind of okay. It's €2. It's not a big money. I just don't like to pay inflated, unfair prices. For the moral reasons, I think, more than for the financial reasons. And yeah, then I said that I would be happy to go for 50, maybe 60 at most, and I will be looking for somebody for 50, and if I won't find, then I will call him. So it's kind of already pressure on him. And when I think probably I will end up calling him, and we'll see, maybe I'll get 80. But it of course will be more than Uber would give me, but it will be a little bit less than the first one. Which was already better than what the regular taxi drivers would charge me, because this guy wasn't a regular taxi driver. You saw the car, I hope it will be visible in my video. It was a very old, very beaten down pickup truck. It wasn't a normal taxi. But I was extremely happy about it. It was experience. It was something which is part of why we like to travel in such countries, instead of in the clean and organized Europe where everything is predictable. This is interesting, isn't it? We'll see if it will be visible in that video. Yeah, friends, I have another good news. Looks like we get through here. No fence, no gates, no nothing. Well, there is some gate there, but I think it's for something else. So far it looks good. You see, friends, even me walking through these kinds of places, block after block, I still have to notice how non-Egyptian this place looks like. With all the typical Westerners fun stuff and touristy things. I'm not saying it's good or bad, it's just very different, and I would seriously suggest that if you have been in Sharm El Sheikh or Hurghada or even in Dahab, don't think that you have been in Egypt. You haven't seen anything of Egypt. It's a completely different world. This doesn't look like anything where I was living. In a typical Egyptian village where almost no foreigners come, together with local Egyptians riding with donkey and so on. That's a completely different world. It's up to you to judge if it's better or worse, but it's hugely different. And I'm just thinking it's maybe worth mentioning. If you want to see real Egypt, don't come to Hurghada or Sharm El Sheikh or places like that. That's not Egypt. That's resort place which is even fenced from the rest of the Egypt, with heavily guarded boys with machine guns who check your bags so that no danger enters here. And it's a sterile Westerner place where people dress like Westerners, which you would never see in a typical Egyptian village, where people act like Westerners, where there is no Ramadan. The prices are completely different story on everything. And even if you meet if you're lucky to meet some Egyptians in such places like here, they're not, I wanted to say they're not proper Egyptians, but it's not the right way how to say it. They are proper Egyptians, but they are special species of Egyptians. Those Egyptians who work with tourists, they are very different from the typical Egyptian who lives in a village in the middle of nowhere, or even who lives in the center of Cairo. They are different. They're different people than the ones who are working with tourists. And yeah, my suggestion, if I can suggest anything, is check out both and see what you like best. I definitely prefer authentic rural Egyptian village type of situation and meeting and dealing with those people rather than touristy places. But every now and again I'm happy to be here. Why not? I wouldn't live for 2 years here, but every now and again, why not? It's quite pleasant. So here we are on the more central streets of this area. Not the Hurghada itself so much, but this area I would say. And you can see all the facades for tourists. Not bad, not bad. I'm actually so surprised how clean everything is here. And how Europeanish, Westernish everything is. Well, this is, well, now I'm pointing at something which is kind of almost replica of something similar to what you would see in Luxor. Funny, why not? Why not? People who come to Egypt to have a beach holiday, they also like to see something like this once they are in Egypt. But not all of them wants to go to Luxor to see the original. But yeah, what I started to say was that how clean and civilized everything is here. It's again very different from Egyptian village, where supermarket is a small hole in the wall where goats are roaming through, and everything of course is dirty and covered with dust and dark, and you don't see anything, and often the light goes off completely, and then everybody uses their phones to illuminate their way through the supermarket. So this is almost like Europe, I would say. It doesn't have any Egyptian vibe at all. But I'm not saying it is bad. It's a good change for me, and it's a good holidays for those who come here, I guess. Otherwise nobody would be building these things. How do you like it, my friends? Do you enjoy it? And you see there, this is the reason why I have met so many Egyptians all over Egypt who speak Russian. And each time when I ask them, where did you learn Russian? They say in Sharm El Sheikh, or sometimes in Hurghada. They were working in some hotel or somewhere in Sharm El Sheikh or Hurghada, and they met loads and loads of Russian tourists. Also the same about Germans. Not as much, but kind of. This is how you learn languages if you live in Egypt. You see, friends, this is my YouTube channel. And down there is the link to my Patreon, where every now and again I post some little bit more personal videos where I share a bit more about my life. I thought maybe somebody of you might be interested. This reminds me United Arab Emirates. But this is how you get green grass. And that's the only way how you can get something like this here. You know what, friends, as funny as it sounds, you see, every place where you can see the sea have such entrance. And some guys standing who are asking you for some bracelet. And when you ask them what's the story, you find out that all these beaches are private for those hotels. And I was walking a good distance both directions to try to find some place where it's publicly accessible, but so far no luck. And by asking, also everybody says that it will not be anywhere close in any case, and they don't know where it is, if there is such thing anywhere. So friends, as funny as it can be, this is pretty. It means that I will not swim at Red Sea now. I have time, but I don't have so much time to waste and walk long distances and see if I get there. I still have good few things to be done, and the day is already in half, more than half. I think that's it about looking for Red Sea. Another time. Try to guess that this is Egypt, my friends. Does it look like anything remotely resembling Egypt? At least not that Egypt which I have seen. But these places are needed as well for people. Okay friends, I think we have seen a little bit of the touristy facade. Let's go back to these pathways which will lead us through the no man's land towards my hotel. It's already getting past 4 o'clock in the morning, evening. I feel like it's morning. I have all my inner clock turned upside down. In the morning I felt it's late evening, and now I feel it's morning. Due to the 25-hour bus rides, 2 of them. In total, I mean 25 hours. This looks more like Egypt. There ends the touristy part and starts this part. But don't worry, my friends, I'm not coming here to stay. I just need to get on that side of these houses and then further around there where my hotel is. Look at how many lanes of road they have in each direction. Now, this is a little bit more sad part about what happened with the new bag. When I was buying it, I saw that, as most things which are made nowadays, they're not made to last. And I saw that this bag is weak, and especially the wheels are weak. And I was hoping that they will be strong enough to at least hold me until we get to Latvia. And this was the strongest of all the options which I had. If I had something better, I would be going for better. But you see what is happening with these wheels. Wallahi, as they say in Arabic. They're not made up to job at all. And yeah, it happened sooner than I hoped. I was thinking to get to Latvia and then to make different wheels myself out of the scooter, and that would last forever. But now I don't even get to Latvia. Here you see is even hole which that wheel grinded through, and even here is a problem because it was dragging on the tarmac because those wheels are bending. And yeah, what I'm doing now, I screw them off and I will replace the damaged wheels, will go on the upper side, which doesn't touch the tarmac, and the good ones, which were not used, will go down there, and hopefully at least that will get me to Latvia. But I have to be very slow, and I have to walk for very small distances and with long rests, especially if it's hotter weather, because they overheat and then they start to melt, and when they melt, the axle falls out of its place, and then everything else goes. So, we'll see. Hopefully that will get me through. Now, that part is done. Hopefully, this will give the second half-life for the bag. So, the new wheels, and by the way, the rubber, which was on top, that started to peel off like few minutes after I started using them. So that when I took off from these immediately, so that it doesn't bend, the gaps widen. But yeah, the new wheels, the unused wheels, are now on the lower side, and by lower I mean the one where the handle is. So that's the side which I'm rolling them on. And the damaged ones are on the upper side where they're not needed actually even. When you put the bag vertically, that never worked. From the very first moment, it was bending like this, so that the wheel is touching here too much on that angle, so it didn't roll even. Plus, this thing is too soft and it wants to drag on the tarmac. So I have to put it under angle and pull it that way. And maybe you would be thinking, why didn't I just turn it over with the handle upside and that way? But I tried, it's not possible. With this size and with these angles and with this so small clearance, I couldn't hold it in such angles so that it wouldn't drag the bottom on the tarmac. So I had to change the wheels so that I can use it now again. And let's see. Now, these new wheels are rolling. Now the question is, how long will they hold until they get the same fate what the previous ones got? We'll see. Bye bye, nice hotel. And back to the road. Wallahi, I got to the hotel entrance, and that's how far this lasted. And now I have no more wheels to change. Oh my dear. We'll see how it goes today. And this beast is too heavy to carry. Hopefully I get that guy to bring me to the very airport, where I can use airport trolleys. So, this is the place, and I think, is that my taxi man? In any case, I'm leaving here. I think it might be him. He is of course late, but he is at least coming. That's amazing. That's a good thing. Salam alaikum ya akhi, anta kwais? Alhamdulillah. Shukran ya akhi, shukran jazilan. Approaching the airport now. It's somewhere there.
سيارة no go.
سيارة ما فيش.
No go.
No go.
سيارة
تمام.
no good.
تمام.
stop هنا.
هنا تمام. تمام يا أخي.
دقيقة لما انزل افتح لك الباب.
شكرا جزيلا يا أخي.
دقيقة انزل افتح لك.
So this is my new friend here, and we arrived. We couldn't get in, but I will walk in, so it's no problem at all. All nice, my friends. Let's go in. If you would like to hear more from me, my friends, and at the same time to support me in my ways, I would like to invite you to become my patron. You can find the link to my Patreon just below the channel description in my YouTube channel's About page.